Hello, and welcome to this Women in Ag Today interview. My name is Michelle Pelletier-Marshall, and I am the editor of this blog. Thank you for joining us. Also joining us today is Dr. Pam Marrone, who is co-founder and executive chair of Invasive Species Corporation, which was founded to develop and market bio-based solutions to control invasive species. Dr. Marrone is also a serial entrepreneur and thought leader in the ag biologicals industry. She is one of only 32 women to have founded and led companies to be listed on public stock exchanges. Additionally, she holds more than 500 patents. Dr. Marrone has received many accolades for her groundbreaking work, including being selected as a 225 inductee into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. And in 2023, she received the Rosalind Franklin Award for Leadership in Industrial Biotechnology and Agriculture. She also is a fierce advocate and mentor for women entrepreneurs, which explains why when Women in Agribusiness asked her to moderate this year's Ag Innovations panel, she said yes without hesitation. So for that and for being here today with us, Pam, we thank you very much.
Great
So
to be
let's
here.
and welcome. So let's dive in and learn a little more about yourself, as well as maybe a little sneak into the Ag Innovations panel. So, first of all, could you tell us a little more about your career in biologicals and maybe what your most memorable achievement was?
Well, believe it or not, I was interested in biologicals since I was little because I learned about biocontrol from my parents. My father was trying to control some gypsy moths, and he actually used BT, which was the first ever commercialized bioinsecticide on the planet. So he used it to control gypsy moths, they're not called spongy moths, on a prize dogwood tree right outside the kitchen window, which is still there but much bigger. So I said, "Wow, this is amazing," and I pursued it passionately all throughout, starting my career after graduate school in entomology at Monsanto Company. Started up a new unit there, looking for new ways to control pests using microbial natural products. So way ahead of my time. And then left Monsanto and was recruited by Novo Nordisk, which was a really small company at the time, Danish company no one had ever heard of. Hired me to set up a company in Davis, which we called Entotech, looking for microbes to control pests. And after they had some issues in their core businesses, they sold us to our largest competitor. And I started up AgriQuest and developed Serenade, which is and other products. And Serenade is the biggest biofungicide sold today, and now under Bayer because the company was sold to Bayer Crop Science. And I then started Marrone Bioinnovations, took it public, developed a large line of bioinsecticides, fungicides, nematicides, and other products that are still growing globally. And then the company was sold in 22 to Bioceres Crop Solutions. And when my non-compete was up, I jumped in again, seeing that there's still big problems to solve, and started the Invasive Species Corporation.
That's quite a career. um, so in terms of being at the forefront of this ag innovation throughout your career, how have you seen the role of women evolve in driving ag tech solutions?
Wow, what a change. So I was literally the only woman in the room back then, starting in my career. And like I was the highest ranking woman in R&D at Monsanto, which wasn't saying much because I wasn't that high. But and then I would go out and raise money from venture capitalists, and I literally was the only woman. And it's gotten so much better. And I'm seeing women are attracted to an entrepreneurial career and starting up companies because they can form the culture that they want. And there's many studies. There was one last year that was from Russell Reynolds, which was very revealing. They interviewed many men and women, and basically women tended to leave their corporate jobs and go into entrepreneurship to be able to have a greater impact and community and create a community in the culture that they want. And that was driving entrepreneurship. So agriculture is a perfect place to do that, ag and food, because there's so many big problems to solve, and it has such a big impact on the planet.
Uh, there really are, especially now there's a lot going on, even more.
Oh gosh,
Um,
yeah.
so as with this entrepreneurial spirit, what advice would you give to women who are looking to build or lead their own ventures in agribusiness or ag tech? Is there a starting point or,
Yeah.
certain.
So right now, there's so many, because so much investor capital has billions of dollars has come into ag tech and ag biotech, and food tech, that it's getting pretty crowded. So there's literally thousands of companies in biologicals. There was the Mixing Bowl, a media company, and Western Growers, and I worked on a map of all the companies. And in 23, we gave up an exhaustion at 1,400 companies. So it's
Wow.
very crowded. So that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for startups. And there are, and I do see a lot of women forming companies now. And what always amazes me is how this is what entrepreneurs do. They find something that differentiates. And that's the key, is look at what's out there already. Look at the problems to solve. And when you talk to farmers, there's still a lot of problems to solve. And
Right.
then find so those solutions, that you can solve those problems and have the impact. And I'm seeing a lot of entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs doing that today.
That's amazing and a good thing too.
Yes.
Along those lines, so, and I don't want to give away the next big thing, right? Because you might be working on it, but what is the most exciting current trend in ag innovation that, you think possibly has the ability to transform how we farm in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, there's quite a number of things. I mean, I don't want to be trite by saying, oh, it's AI, but but
Yeah.
actually, AI and machine learning has a lot of there's so much opportunity in agriculture. So for being able to assess large data sets, so
Mm.
flying over the field with drones or satellite data or whatever, being assess all that data much more quickly and to make recommendations for crops. Same with soils. Every week, I see another entrepreneur who's coming up with ways to better assess the soil health on the fly. And the genome. What's amazing is what we can do with genomics data, so gene sequences of microbes, and being able to assess what microbes are doing in the soil. There was a company that was in Europe that just started up, and they told me that they're going out to farms and having the farmers show them where the good parts of the field are and the not so good parts of the field where they might have some diseases or what have, or poor growth, and then doing next gen sequencing on the soils in those areas, and then finding the better microbes. And so we didn't have next gen sequencing before. So with next gen sequencing, genomics, and artificial intelligence and machine learning, being able to apply all those things to data sets to help farmers be able to understand what's going on in their fields and then make recommendations for them to get better crops. That's what really excites me. And so there's lots of things that can feed into that. That is better biologicals, real-time detection of pests and pathogens, assessing your soils, assessing your crop growth, and so on. Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity out there
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just putting the great minds to work at
Yeah.
it, though.
Now on the biologicals front, there's still there's so much biodiversity out there we haven't even tapped.
Hmm.
There's a real opportunity for a bioherbicide, which there's like only 200 million worth of bioherbicides sold today compared to $35 billion worth of chemical herbicides. So it's a huge
Hmm.
opportunity, but a very technically challenging problem, which is why my current company is focusing on that, because we find some bioherbicides that's really going to help a lot. And that's one more thing that I'm really excited about. And then so finding better microbes. And then there's also the opportunity for peptides and RNA interference. And there's a number of companies working on those. And again, machine learning can really help in discovery and synthesis of new peptides. And so there's a lot of opportunity for better pest control.
Excellent. Now, switching gears a little bit, but how do you think events like Women in Agribusiness help accelerate not only innovation, but also more opportunities for ag leadership and, for women leading events like that? How do they
Well,
help?
what I see when I talk to younger women, or not even just younger women, anybody who wants to become an entrepreneur or work in a startup or start up a company, is having role models. And so it's really good to have panels like that to really help others see, oh, there's possibilities. I can do this. And so that's why it's really important to have panels like the Women in Ag is having. Yeah.
And you've also served on numerous boards in the capacity to guide and assist. If women are looking to get more involved in that capacity, what qualities have you found that are most important to serve in that role on an executive board um, in a company?
Yeah. So young companies are desperate for experienced talent to advise them or serve on their boards. And the problem with startups is they don't often pay much.
Mm.
But it's a great opportunity for somebody to get stock or stock options, which may be worth something later down the road. But it's just a wonderful opportunity to help guide a young company. Most of the companies that I advise is a technical CEO or a first time and a first time CEO. So that way, then I was one of those at one time, and sometimes technical CEOs get a bad rap that oh, you should be just chief science officer. But no, I see a lot of PhDs and other with technical degrees who become entrepreneurs. Not everybody, but so I think it's really an opportunity to help guide, do something important, and learn really good skills. One of the things that I served on outside boards and nonprofit boards in addition to my own, because the leadership skills that you developed by being on a board, how do you write and track financial statements? How do you audit financial statements?
Right.
How do audit committees, compensation committees? How do you do compensation of the executives? How do you do a dashboard to make sure the company's on track? How do you develop a culture? Help the founder CEO develop a culture of the company and have everybody aligned. And how do you address talent and succession? So many things that you can learn by being on boards and advising companies.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot to learn, especially if you're starting a company from scratch. So
Yes.
it could be very helpful. Um, and as far as that, with all the companies you've started and worked on, I had read something that you were indicating your legacy would be that you changed the perception of biological products and how they're used, which in turn
Yes.
has created a whole industry that is now mainstream and growing very fast.
Yes.
So, what's next on your list of to-dos and working with your current company, or do you see any big things that are coming up?
Well, yeah, I'd have said publicly that I will not retire until I find really good bioherbicides that can have an impact, for both organic and conventional agriculture. So for organic agriculture, I know a lot of organic farmers and they struggle with weed control. It's their number one issue. They have to do a lot of tilling or use special tillers, and so it's not as sustainable or green as they'd like because they're doing too many passes throughout the field, and so that's a big area. And then on conventional side, there's so many weeds that have developed resistance to conventional herbicides, and so there's an opportunity to really find something with new modes of action. So that's the big thing I want to work on, and I want to see the let's say the biologicals industry is estimated to be between $9 and $10 billion, which is amazing because when I started it was just a 100
A
million or
blip,
something.
just a blip on the radar,
Yeah,
right?
just a blip. And only
Yes.
pigeonholed for organic and mainstream, conventional farmers weren't using it. Now 70% of all growers use biologicals, and so it's 9 to 10 billion on a $70 billion chemical market. So the predictions are, if you grow between 10 and 20% every year, well, chemicals are growing at single digits. that by 2040, they'll
Mhm.
cross over and biological market will be as big as the chemical market. That's what I'd like to see. And my mother's almost 99, so I think I'll probably be around to see that. And so that continued growth and doing everything we can to support the growth of the business. And what that means is helping farmers understand how to use the products and how to use them successfully, because you'll to get over the perception that they don't work as well as chemicals, and they do when you know how to use them. So about half of all farmers in every survey say, no, I haven't tried them because I don't know enough about them, don't know how to use them, I'm afraid to use them. So that's the big gap that we need to work on from here on out.
Right. Communications is a really key,
Absolutely.
just teaching people and
Yeah.
helping them not be afraid to try something
Yeah.
that
Once they try them, the surveys show that 8 out of 10 farmers love them.
stick
So
with it.
they get very high ratings, but getting over that hump is
Right.
the thing. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I have to say, I love your energy, and I just wanted to say that something that I had read regarding your National Inventors Hall of Fame is that for being an inductee, there was a video out about you having being hummingbird energy, and I think that's just
Yes,
great.
that's true.
That having the drive and just keep going and being such a mentor for so many others in the sector, as well as just women in general and everything, it's been really I can see the energy, and it's really nice to know that it's a hard path you've paved, but it's a good thing for certain.
Thank you. Yes, my
Yeah.
husband coined that term, hummingbird energy.
Hummingbird edge.
And
Yeah.
and then he'll remind me when sometimes I need to slow down.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Now I know, so you will be moderating the Ag Innovations panel, and we're still working on the final folks, but we do have Fatma Kaplan and likely Linda Kinkle. So we're looking forward to that. Do you have any messages that you hope attendees will take away from the Ag Innovations panel, and as far as from your journey as a leader in the space too?
Yes, so I'm hoping that the audience will take away hearing other entrepreneurial stories and what it takes to start up, and how women have persevered through thick and thin to get where they are, and also to showcase some of the very exciting things that are coming in agriculture that can help farmers.
Excellent. Yeah, it should be a very good event, and we are so glad to have you as a speaker and moderator and to join us with a great team of women innovators. So that will be great. Thank you so
Looking
much
forward
for your
to it. Yeah,
time.
it's going to be great. Yeah.
And to everyone else, if you want to hear more from Dr. Marrone, you can join us at the Women in Agribusiness Summit this year, our 14th annual, which will be September 22nd to the 24th. We will be in Orlando, Florida this year. So thank you so much for your time, Pam, and we will see you in Orlando.
Thank you. Yes, see you in Orlando.